Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, Pick Guardian.
Jared Brandon down in Nashville.
That's right. Hey, everybody, it's me, Todd Novak. Welcome to the Guitar Knobs podcast. We got a full house tonight.
Yes.
Sitting, aside from the three yokels that just, announced ourselves, are sitting across the table.
Rob Chafe.
The illustrious Rob Chafe.
Mad Calification.
Mad Calification. And John.
John Esterly with Rare Buzz Effects.
Yes. Also a real-life train conductor. Woo whoop.
Yes.
Which is
That's right.
really,
And he even uses a baton while he
I do.
yeah.
engineers the train.
In a baton. Oh, right.
He's a
He's a
conductor.
conductor. I get it. Oh, man.
There's two different connotations.
Yeah,
is
like
what
one of those
Tony was
railroad
getting at.
bodies.
Yes.
I gotta get on the mic.
This is what we call in the biz a double entendre.
There you go. Okay, hey, but more importantly, we've got a fantastic guest tonight. Guest, who are you?
Who are you?
Hello, I'm Jamie Muir. I'm from Super Cool Pedals over here in Canada.
All right. Well, we are going to find out
Yay,
all
Jamie.
about super cool pedals and two things to note. Number one, if you've heard of the Thneed lately, this is the maker of said Thneed.
Ah.
And where can people go to find the things that you're doing right now if they're driving along singing a song?
Yeah, I got a couple places. I mean, Reverb for all international and all things music, and then I've got supercoolpedals.ca or supercoolpedals.com on my website there. So I'll keep that up to date, and you can both buy and follow along, as well as Instagram, Facebook, and all those fun, normal social things, and TikTok because I like to pretend like I'm younger than I am. So I put lots up there too.
Interesting. All right, so you got the bases covered. We are going to find out all the things that make your pedal brand interesting, and your backstory and all that good stuff. Okay,
Right
But
on.
first,
coffee. Hey, I want to announce. I got a call. So the recently posted episode, which will go live tonight, which will already be live if you're listening to this, from Spicy Pedals. He said, I enjoyed your show so much, I want everybody to have 15%
What?
off their order.
who?
Spicy Pedals
Spicy.
through December 14th.
Wow.
So go to Spicy Pedals, get your 15% off.
It's a spicy.
how does
Yes.
that work?
It is a
Coupon code?
It's a coupon code.
Uh-huh. And what would that coupon code be?
I'm pretty sure it's the guitar knobs.
Okay.
Just
pretty
keep
sure?
trying
Pretty
letters
sure.
and words.
And if it doesn't work, just send him a little message. He'll give you it'll hook you up.
Yeah.
Pretty sure it's the guitar knobs.
Yep. Wow, that's really nice.
I know I should have that. I was just really excited.
You're so prepared.
I know. I usually am. Actually, you know what? It's in my email.
Well,
As suspected, I was prepared and right. It is the guitar knobs, all one word, and it's running from the 19th, December 19th, which was yesterday, the day
December
before yesterday.
19th was yesterday?
November
Wow.
19th.
Where'd I lose
which
a whole
was
month?
the day before yesterday.
No kidding.
12/14. Just remember 12/14. It's
Yes.
live. 12/14.
well, it's live now
Yes.
until 12/14.
Until 12/14.
When
yes.
will now be then?
Yes.
How soon is now?
Yes. So I also wanted to bring up, we have a fantastic giveaway coming up. I have the lovely Joel Patterson.
That
That
is
we mentioned
lovely.
before.
In red vinyl.
Red transparent vinyl.
Red transparent
And this
vinyl.
is the second Christmas album he's done, so I'm going to be giving one of those away probably next week. Okay?
You know what would be cool with that?
What?
Is if you're outside and you hold it up to the sun, it would be like you're on Mars.
Okay.
Thanks, Tony.
Thanks, Tony.
Okay.
Here's something else that I want to add. I was very excited to hear this news from guitar.com, and that's where I got it. One of my favorite bands, which is now defunct.
The Smiths,
No,
Oasis.
those are all my other favorite bands. But we lost a
Oh,
really, really big
yes.
drummer recently. We lost a really big drummer. Maybe arguably the biggest rock drummer. And Jamie, I'm sure you know who I'm talking about at this point. But Alex and Getty are saying we're probably going to go back out on tour. And I was like, what? So Rush is talking about hitting the tour roads again, which is, I think, fantastic news.
Ah,
Wow.
are they going to use a drum machine?
I don't know what they're going to do.
They're going to use past recordings of Neil. How are they going to replace Neil?
Well, I don't think they're going to have another drummer.
That's nuts.
Yeah, so I'm not really sure. But Jamie, in the event that you accidentally hit mute, oh, there you go. You're back.
Yeah, no, I'm here.
Okay. The Canadian's not weighing in on Rush, so I'm like, what's going wrong?
I feel like I don't fall into that stereotype correctly, but at the same time, I don't think anyone can really replace Neil except for a drum machine. Just like set it to 220 BPM and just press the fill button repeatedly, and I think you pretty much got Neil covered anyway.
That's yeah. You can visit Throw Rocks at
Rocksforjamie.com. That's rocks, the number 4, and jamie.com.
My Rocks for Todd's going to take a hit on today. But anyways, I thought that was just really cool news. I liked it. I liked the music. Want to hear it some more. You know?
Okay. Well, there
anyways,
you go. What's your favorite Rush song?
Ooh, that is a really, really good question. It's probably Red Barchetta.
Yeah, I was thinking Tom Sawyer or maybe the other one.
No.
Why?
Spirit of Radio is great. I love Spirit of Radio.
That's
I like
Okay.
I like
Anyways,
Fly By Night.
And some very sad news. Legitimately, another one of my absolute favorite bands. One of the, I think, an early impression one on me was Psychedelic Furs, and I've seen them a couple times live, and their saxophone player, the supreme talent, Mars. He passed away last night.
Yes, he was also.
Cancer.
He started off in The Waitresses.
Yes, he did. In Akron.
Yes, that's correct. And
Wild.
I saw them way back when in the day at a local club in Youngstown.
Yeah. He was just absolutely incredible, especially live. Oh my god.
Great sax player.
He
Even back then, Tony?
Even back then, he was a great sax player.
Yeah. So, anyways, that was kind of sad to hear, but I'm lucky they actually came here to just outside of Columbus, I think 2 years ago, and it was outstanding show. So, best of luck to the Furs as they continue, and sorry that you're no longer here, Mars.
Yeah.
All right, that's it for announcement stuff. Let's get on with our music world. What's going on in our music world this week? We got to hit a whole bunch of people tonight. So, Tanya?
Yes.
Why don't you kick us off, and then we're going to check in with Jamie.
Well, we can do that because I have two little things this week that are kind of exciting to me. First off, I found a source for some, we call it head cheese tortoise. It's kind of that brownish with white stripy stuff through it that you see on a lot of early Super 400s, Gibson Super 400s and Gibson L5s.
Okay.
And this material, I had a batch of it. I thought I was never going to see another batch of it in my lifetime. And I found a source. Somebody is making it for them. I don't care. It was reasonably priced. The pattern is a little bit smaller than the Gibson material. Mm-hmm. I think I showed this to you, didn't I, when you came down the shop? I thought I did.
We just looked at a whole bunch of my Gold Sparkle.
Gold Sparkle. But so I was really excited. I'm happy to offer, it's going to be probably a limited amount that I have, but at least I can make some Super 4 guards for people if they need them.
Or other kind of guards.
Well, I've done some Les Paul guards out of the same material, and it looks pretty cool. But traditionally, Super 400s or early L5s would have them. Secondly, I was listening to Dave Edmunds last week, and I said, you know what? I want to get a copy of the original 45 of Girls Talk, and because I was listening to that, I love the song. Dave Edmunds, great guitar player. sadly, he's announced last year that he's not going to play guitar anymore.
Okay.
He's an older guy. But so I was just excited. I like the cover of the sleeve, and Girls Talk. Many people might recognize it. It's actually written by Elvis Costello. He recorded it after, but this is the actual first recording of the song.
Yes.
And it's it has more of a kind of a
little more poppier.
Yeah, it's a little faster. It's more twangier, and that's Dave Edmunds.
Yeah.
And then Linda Ronstadt also recorded a version of it, which is actually very close to the Dave Edmunds version. But yeah, those were two things. And this one, I got it. It's a UK pressing, and it came from England, and it just arrived a day or two ago. So that was exciting. It's always fun to get those international packages in the mail.
It is. It really is. It's very special.
That's what's going
Even
on.
Canadian ones. Those are fun too.
Yeah, because they have those same funny stamps.
Funny stamps. Jamie, what is going on in your music world that maybe doesn't cover all the ground that we're going to go over in your interview?
In terms of like what I'm listening to, or
Yeah, sure. What you're listening to,
Sure.
things that you're playing, anything that you've saw recently, whatevs.
yeah, I mean, I'm kind of revisiting. I'm catching the second wave of. I'm a huge Queens of the Stone Age fan,
Yes.
and I'm catching the second wave of that record.
Oh.
I listen to it just like on repeat.
Yep.
The end is near. The end is
Times
near.
New
Oh my
Roman.
Yeah, in Times New Roman. Thank you. I'm thinking of the tour name. In Times New Roman, I listened to it just on heavy rotation, like when it first
Yeah.
came out. And then, as things do, you put the record down. And as I've kind of settled into my new home over here in Peterborough, that has found itself just on rotation again, because it's kind of a huge, Queens of the Stone Age has always been a huge source of influence, like, not just for my music, but for my guitar tone. Mm-hmm. So as I'm starting to tinker with some circuits and pedals and things again, I'm just over analyzing every single Josh Ohm guitar lick that's over that record, and just
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys are Queens of the Stone Age fans.
I'm a
but-
massive Queens of Stone Age fan. I mean,
Yeah,
like,
the record before it, Villains, just like
yeah.
I broke my heart, if I'm going to be honest, a little bit. So this is just like one of the biggest kind of return to form records I've heard in decades.
It is interesting because when I was so excited when it came out, and as I started when I had my first listen to, now mind you, on coming home from work or going to work, it's almost always being played.
Yeah.
And I'm so used to hearing, the entire canon, if you will, of all their songs.
Yeah.
And then I heard this one, and I was like, but I don't know what to do with this. I honestly was like, I don't know what to do with it. And then I put it down, went back to it, and now I can't stop listening to it.
Yeah, no, it's kind of like, it's overwhelming. It's a pandemic record, and you can just hear how much just everyone came together and how grateful they were and just excited they were. And they kind of, I love Josh Ohm, but he's got a bit of an ego to him. And it sounds like that got put aside for this record. And it just sounds like something they could have put together that, 20 years ago almost. So
Yeah, it almost sounds like a completely different band, to be honest. It's just the instrumentation and the musicality of it is just absolutely, there's nothing out there like it, which is the sad thing.
And well, it's great, but it's like change terrifies me. I don't know why, but I'm always such a music snob. Like every single time one of my favorite bands comes out with a new record, I never like it because I'm like, oh well, it doesn't sound like their original work.
Right.
Like, and I hear myself, and I'm like, why can't I just enjoy the damn thing that they've created?
Yeah.
But this record, like in that way, is just something that sounds just perfect for what it is. And you're right, it sounds like a whole new band, but it's something that I would like out of the gate, and not just something that I would like because I like all their past work, right?
Yeah. And to their credit, I think that they are one of the few bands that actually really do push us as guitar players into interpreting new sounds and being okay with like, oh yeah, maybe I can do a doubler, maybe I can do this stuff. It just absolutely opened my eyes big time. So, and matter of fact, I mentioned on the last podcast, I think I got the PDF too from Stone Deaf. I got a really good deal on that, and that was one of their sort of like, quote unquote go-to pedals for tone shaping.
Nice. Yeah. Sweet.
Very, very cool. Let's keep moving over to Rob. Chafe.
Yep. What?
What's going on in your music world this week, Rob? Chafe.
And nothing about trying out Klon clones.
Build amps.
Okay. Well, then there goes my.
Go ahead. Have you settled on one yet?
No. And it's not like, I've been trying them out and just like throwing them away. It's just, I don't know. I want to hear all the slight differences between all the different options out there. But Todd gave me a couple to try.
Nice.
Yep. That was very nice of him.
Yeah.
And the winner of the ones
And
that
then you're taking the Thneed back today.
Yes, I can't wait to try that one, actually.
So you had sent me maybe a message or something about who was it that was offering the Klon kit?
Oh, that was
JHS.
genius.
JHS.
Such
Yeah, the Nauticlon.
so genius by him.
Yeah.
So he gets to sell a Klon knockoff or whatever, but he's not doing the stereotypical like, "Oh, look, I built a Klon thing," and having it completely DIY without any soldering.
Yeah. I
He's
love
an
the
absolute
video
genius.
with the kids putting them together
in like 5 minutes.
Hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that black goop has to cost a lot of money.
No, that's where the tone is.
That is genius. It is.
It gets people engaged with him in a different way. I mean,
Yeah.
just everything about it. I was like, man, whoever came up with that idea
Yeah.
at JHS, if it was Josh or one of the minions.
Apparently, it wasn't. Like that was the whole thing. Is like they made this thing in there, and he's like, "Wait, what did we just make?" So, very curious. Very curious. So, did you get one?
No. It's funny. So it popped up in my feed. I'm like, oh, I might buy that. And then like 3 hours later, I got a notice that they were sold out. The next batch is middle of December. I'm like, huh, how about that? So
Amazing.
maybe the next batch. Actually, I think we're going to see a bunch of those hit the used market around January or February. People get them. And
I think you're right.
yeah, so I'll probably just pick up one of those. But.
Cool.
Nice.
Esterly, how about yourself?
Well, so a couple of things. Just got tickets last night for the Alanis Morissette show next year at Riverbend.
Yes.
Little
Is
bit
it
of.
ironic?
Say that again. I'm sorry, Jared.
Is it ironic? Don't you think?
It is. It's quite ironic. And we've got a personal connection to that. We saw Alanis on her 25th anniversary Jagged Little Pill tour the day after my wife's 40th birthday. And it was like a surprise gift. I played the whole day of her birthday like I was a jerk and completely forgot it. And then the day after took her down to Riverbend to see Alanis. So it's like we've got a very big connection, not only to the venue, but to the artist. So we ended up they had a pretty economical 4-ticket package that we picked up. So we're going to probably go with her sister and brother-in-law. So looking forward to that.
Still sounds good.
She sounds incredible.
Still sounds good.
I mean,
And looks good too. Still.
we saw her, what was it, 2 years ago? And I mean, just incredible. So, and then I've also been going through a bit of a purge. I had kind of gotten to the point where I had more equipment than I was really using. And I'm a firm believer in like, it does no good for it to sit on a shelf at my house if somebody can be using it to make music. So I've been kind of thinning the herd out. So, for folks that are looking for used gear, maybe keep an eye out for it because there's
Where
some
would
stuff.
people be keeping an eye out on?
So I've got a personal reverb, which is where most of this stuff is going for sale. I don't, not much of it is like Rare Buzz owned equipment.
Yeah.
So you might need to look for John Esterly
Yeah.
on
yeah.
Reverb.
On Reverb.
It's so hard if you try to put in a shop. It's the worst. It's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stupid.
That's quite rare.
Yeah. Oh, it's some rare gear. No, it's not, you morons. You just didn't do your flipping search right.
That's right. Stupid search.
It's rare, just like the other 7 of them that are listed, for less than yours is. No, but I've been kind of cutting some of that loose, and
Nice.
probably the biggest thing that I've kind of come to grips with parting ways with is I've got a 65 Duosonic that has been sitting in its case in my closet for probably 2 years now.
You need to talk to Mike Trombley.
Well, I may do that.
I mean, that's his jam.
It's
$100 cash money right now.
well for those that don't know the story.
He would.
Damn you!
when I bought it, I pulled it apart and got all the date codes off it, and it's a early 65 body, late 64 neck, and the pickups are January 7th and January 8th of 65. Well, the 7th was the last day Leo Fender owned it, and the 8th was the first day CBS
right.
owned it. So
that's kind of neat.
it very well, I have no way to prove this, but it very well could be one of the first CBS built.
Johnny Morales. You need to talk to Johnny Morales. He moves those things like butter.
Do you have the 24-inch or the 22.5?
It's the 24-inch, but it's the A neck, so it's like the narrower nut.
Narrow, long. Well, I wouldn't even.
So
call
for
it
people
long.
with short
Longer.
fingers like I have, it's actually comfortable to play, but you do get kind of jammed up the further up the neck you get, just because it's such a narrow neck. So
Gotcha.
yep. So look for that one. That's again the
Tom
one
Petty
that's
wrote a song about that.
yeah.
Jamming me. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Todd, what about you?
Well, I don't know.
about
I need to see about Jared.
Yeah.
Jared, what's going on down there?
What about Jared? Forgot about him.
Who?
Jared. Down here in Nashville, yeah. So we have a demo program, and for those of you who don't know, it's basically Gibson does seconds, and they call it demo now.
B-stock.
Yeah, it's like B stock, but so demo could be repairs, like returns from other customers, B stock that doesn't get granted the brand new condition anyway. So, and Gibson sells those on Reverb, and us employees, we get a chance to buy those as well. So I had my eye on a custom shop 1954 custom Les Paul. It's black. It has
Black
the
Beauty.
staple. Yeah, it has a staple P90 in the neck, and it's got a regular old P90 in the bridge.
Why did they do that?
The staple pickup has heavy magnetism, so, and they're adjustable. They're really sensitive, and it is in the neck position.
Right.
I think that was more of a deluxe pickup they made for jazz, and I could be wrong, but it's a very difficult and complex pickup to put together.
Yeah,
you don't see a lot of those out there.
It's like the old Dynasonics, or you have the adjustable height mechanism in there,
Yeah.
right?
Man, there's 6 screws in there to, help you
Like
figure
only
that out.
the senior team leads at the pickup shop know how to put those together. And we did train a few more people, but they're pretty difficult to put together. But anyway, yeah, that guitar had to be refretted, and it was a used guitar. It was a customer's guitar. I think, I don't know what the problem was. Obviously, the frets, why they refretted it, but I can bend the strings anywhere and just bend all day long, and there's no buzzing anywhere. They did a really good job getting that guitar back and running. And I picked it up for a song for an employee discount, so I'm really happy about that one.
All right. As for me, I had a super fun show with my pal.
What about you, Todd?
I had a super fun show with my pal Hex Matos. Up in Cleveland area with his new band called Devil's Angels. And they were really good. First show they ever played, I was like, this is good stuff. Super fun place to play if you are ever playing in that area. I highly recommend the Inferno Lounge.
Yes.
So that was really fun. And I spent almost a third of my show being absolutely heckled to death by this super drunk woman.
That was me, Todd. It was me.
I mean, she was just...
Have you considered a different lead singer?
No, yeah. This one was like falling all over my pedal board and just calling me horrible things and everything. And I was like, what am I doing?
Because you wouldn't play Bruno Mars.
What is going on? I don't know what's going on. She was really hammered.
We should track her down and take care of the problem?
They finally got her out of there. All right, so I'm about halfway through the show called Squaring the Circle on Netflix. And that is all about some of the most famous album art in rock and roll history. And by the two guys that basically created, like they did Houses of the Holy for Led Zeppelin. They did the Pink Floyd one. They did a bunch of Pink Floyd ones. They did a bunch of McCartney ones and all kinds of others. Really, really interesting. From an art perspective, from a music perspective, this is hitting all the boxes that I definitely like. So I highly recommend going and seeing that. That's on Netflix.
Okay. Now, I was going to ask what platform you were watching that
Cool.
on.
Yeah.
I would like to recommend Tour Gear Design patch cables.
Hey, Jamie, are you aware of Tour Gear Design patch cables?
No, why don't you tell me?
You should be. They're right next door to you.
Yes, you know how small Canada is.
Yes.
They're literally across
like
the street.
12 of us.
You probably shop at the same supermarket.
Well, they don't have supermarkets there.
Oh, what is it?
They just have markets.
Oh, the markets.
Yeah, just regular markets.
Yes. Mega markets. I don't know what the metric is for super, but
Well, speaking of Tour Gear Design patch cables,
yes.
they come in many, many different lengths.
Yes.
They're very, very flat.
very flat.
They have little teeny tiny little plug-in thingies that allow you to make connections between all sorts of pedals.
all the connections.
There's an S shape, S shape,
And C.
and a C shape.
Yep.
And they're very affordable.
They are affordable, made even more affordable because the normal coupon code that we've had for a couple of years,
Yes.
for Tour Gear, which is the guitar knobs, would get you 10% off.
Yeah.
Now it gets you 15.
That's an extra 5%.
It is an extra 5%.
Actually, it's an extra 50%.
You didn't even need a calculator for that. So,
You're actually right both ways.
yes, that is
Yes.
really weird. I can't. You're going to boggle my brain with the math. Head over to tourgeardesigns.com, load up your cart, put in the guitar knobs for your coupon code, and save 15% on like the best patch cables over there. So,
Yep.
There
do
you
it.
go.
Just do it.
all right, Tony.
Let's have Jared introduce it.
Oh, is he back?
Yeah.
He's back.
Yeah. Hey, so I saw a Time Warner guy screwing around with the pole and all that kind of thing, and we have a different kind of internet. I think they're sabotaging our internet around here.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
What secrets do you have that they don't want out?
Yeah.
They're sabotaging our internet, so we go with Spectrum because nobody wants to buy from those crooks anymore.
Oh, all right.
All right.
So here we go. Jared.
So let me get a little bit of this.
1, 2, 3. 4 on the floor. All right. Jamie Muir of Super
Yo.
Cool Pedals. Let's get your 4 on the floor.
Yeah. So, my first one, and I'm going to get made fun of for this one, but I don't care, is the Boss ME50 multi-effects pedal unit. It was the first pedal that I ever got, and frankly, I think it's the only respectable budget multi-effects pedal that's out there. But for honestly a decade, it was like almost the only pedal that I had in my whole lineup. It's super rad. I mean, the drive section totally sucks, but the way that it's segmented, it's 3 pedals. You got the drive, you've got your modulation, and you've got delays, and it's driven by Boss's Cosm, so like their digital platform, analog digital modeling, and it's got some really weird like sleeper sounds. There's something I've always loved about it that I haven't found in a lot of other pedals, and its modulation is that you can crank the feedback knob well past where it should go, meaning you can get, on a phaser, you can just get it like 100% wet phaser, which doesn't make any sense, and you can't really find that on a lot of pedals. So back in my day of, making noisy rock and roll, I would always just commit to noise and just start pulling knobs all over the place, and you can just get some really crazy sounds out of it. So I'm staring at this thing that I've had for about 20 years, something like that. And believe it or not, still to this day, even though my palette is more refined, obviously, as a pedal builder, I still whip out the Boss ME50 to get certain guitar tones when I just like can't find it in any other pedals, believe it or not. So
well, that's one that you definitely see out there in the used market quite a bit.
Oh yeah, you can
a lot
find
of those out there.
Yeah, probably for like $20. I've almost had to replace the one that I have because it's fallen out of the back of tour vans before, but like, in true Boss form, it like mostly works properly. And finally, it was one of the first things when I started like repairing guitar pedals and everything, I opened up my Boss ME50 that was broken for like 3 years and like fixed the whole thing up. And it was like having a new pedal. It was like, it was kind of like the light shone down on me with this dumb digital multi-effects pedal that I'll always have a soft spot for.
Awesome.
The Timex of guitar pedals.
Yeah.
It keeps on ticking, man.
There it is. How about number 2?
Number 2 would be early 2000s Big Muff. So the NYC builds. This was actually the first or second pedal that I ever owned. And, as a 17-year-old, 16-year-old musician or guitarist, thinking, knowing basically nothing about guitars, I went into my local shop and just wanted a big red button that I could just push and make noise out of, Guitar pedals were obviously a pretty new thing to me, and I just wanted something that would just alter the sound as much as possible. And Electro-Harmonix was just absolutely dominating in the early 2000s there. And I picked up this Big Muff, and I think it's transistor based, and it just gave me the sound that I wanted at the time. And I think they were selling them for like less than $100 Canadian.
Yeah.
So
they were like 80,
like $50 American or something ridiculous like that. And it was just that big red button, and I didn't bother doing anything else with my tone. I mean, like I have a love-hate relationship when it comes to Big Muffs and like scooped fuzz pedals and that tone suck sound. But there's just something about that classic, big muff sound that you get. I was also just a huge White Stripes and Jack White nerd, so you can always. I love the simplistic sound that you get out of it. It's super versatile, and you can just push the button, get the sound. That's it. So I'll always have some derivative of the Big Muff on my pedal board just for that reason alone, because the sound, when you want, you can just summon it, and it's just there. No matter what you've got else of the chain, you've got that Big Muff sound.
Well said. Well said. How about number 3?
Number 3, I would say the Dan Armstrong Orange Squeezer, or any derivative of it.
Interesting.
Compressors are something that like I didn't have on my board for a long time. Like I alluded to, I wasn't really a complicated guitarist in my earlier days as being a musician. I just wanted I wanted to stomp a pedal and get the sound. That was it, and I didn't think too hard about it. But when I got to recording music and producing music, I learned the finer details of compression and what that can do. So when I finally caved and started putting compressors on my board, I just fell in love with that saturation. And, I talked about Queens of the Stone Age earlier, and the guitar tone that I'm always seeking to get is frankly not a dynamic one. It's just super saturated, mid-heavy, beautiful sustain. And I don't like compressors that have a lot of knobs because I have to protect myself from myself. And I need to stop myself from tweaking knobs all the time. If they're there on my board, I will just sit there and mess around before rehearsal or before recording for hours trying to find the right sound. And there's something about that original Orange Squeezer circuit that just works. That dual JFET paired sound that just gives the perfect over easy, just saturated, juicy sound.
Yep.
And you don't have to do anything to it, frankly. Like that Dire Straits beautiful attack, plucky sound. It's the first or second pedal on my board always, just to get that super saturation. I don't have an original Dan Armstrong one, but I've owned like tons of derivatives of that circuits. Like I think the JHS Pulp and Peel is just one of the best like freaked out modded versions of that circuit that's out there. And it just I basically just crank everything on that pedal and just get that saturated sound that I'm always looking for.
Now, is that something that is in your quest, in your unobtainium quest, an original Dan Armstrong one?
Yeah, it's on my reverb search list. Like I've found a couple, and like I don't want to sound like too much of a hypocrite, but I try not to like covet pedals too much, because at the end of the day, like there is mojo to guitar circuits, but there's also a lot of bull when it comes down to it. So it's I wrestle with it a lot, because if I allowed myself to buy every single pedal that I coveted in that way, I'd just end up with I wouldn't have space for them, and I wouldn't have money to build pedals at the end of the day. But that is yeah, exactly. So that is one of them, though. That is actually one of them that like I will allow myself to buy an original like mint condition one when I find the right one.
That's cool. I can dig that.
Yeah.
How about the next one?
So the Rat. I can't. I feel like I'm super plain with these choices, but I'm a big grunge guy. I love Sonic Youth would be my range of bands would be like Sonic Youth, Queens of the Stone Age, and Nirvana, anything from the 90s. And I just when I for whatever reason never owned a Rat, and 3 or 4 years ago, I guess pre-pandemic, I bought a Rat just out of boredom and plugged it into my system and just like had this cathartic sigh of relief, because I was like, this is the sound that I've been trying to get for years,
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that it's like just the Rat circuit is just so like perfect, and the way that it just kind of pushes out treble when you allow it, and the way that it just overdrives and maintains its dynamics and saturates at the same time just gives this sound that I don't know, it's not to wax prophetic, but it just feels like home to me. It feels like a sound that I've listened to in my headphones for decades now. So I struggle to get rid of a Rat, and it sucks because my pedal board usually just looks like, like most guitarists, just like 7 drive pedals that you can't decide between. But the Rat is one that I'll never remove just because it's just perfect. And yeah, I mean, the particular one that I have isn't special. Again, like I'm not allowing myself to go down the rabbit hole of the Rat because there's so many versions and so many different ones to covet. I've just got like a pretty recent one from like 2020. It's nothing special. And I do like believe that if the circuit's right, then the sound is right. So the one that I've got isn't particularly special, but I do think that just the Rat is just like, just the epitome of drive. Maybe the DS1 was the 5th one that I couldn't choose between, but I think the Rat is just classic sound.
That is a formidable 4 on the floor. Appreciate you sharing that, and I also like a good. So I like somebody who likes the drive stuff,
and all very affordable.
And all very affordable, indeed. Yes.
Hey, that's the name of the game, man.
Yeah. All right, Jamie. It is time to find out more about Super Cool Pedals, and probably spend a decent amount of time on the Thneed. Thneed, the pedal that jumped out of nowhere and grabbed everybody's attention. But I also want to make sure that we don't overdo that. I know you've talked a lot about it. So let's get in with I guess through your background. Like, how did you jump into pedals?
Yeah, so it's kind of been an interesting progression to get into pedals, because I was a musician for a number of years, and as some of you guys might know, music doesn't exactly pay the bills very well. So I was a broke musician at that. So I found myself fixing and repairing gear very frequently, and learning to solder and how to repair electronics just kind of came from that. So at a certain point, I got into a lot of tape gear, so analog, Tascams and old 70s tape machines, and learning how to just kind of solder and do basic repairs on that stuff. And I ended up coming across this really interesting circuit from, I can't remember what it was. I think it was called the Stomp Box Cookbook. And it was a circuit that basically used a 3-head cassette tape machine to turn it into an Echoplex or a Space Echo. So it was analog tape delay, and it was just basically a really basic feedback circuit that you could make. So knowing absolutely nothing about this, I made that circuit. I went out to some weird hobby electronics shop in Toronto over here, and breadboarded this circuit and bought all the components and put it together. And after weeks and weeks and weeks of learning and figuring it out, managed to get this thing working. And it just kind of put this spark in me. I loved the effect and it was super awesome, but part of me was just like, okay, cool. What's next? What else can I do? And then that kind of started me getting into, looking into forums and finding other, relatively simple circuits to build. And it kind of started things from there. But kind of important to note, I feel like a bit of an imposter in some regards, because I've never, as I kind of, alluded to with my super dirt cheap accessible pedals on my 4 on the floor, I've never been that big of a pedal guy. I've certainly been like a guitar nerd. But when it comes to pedals, I really always take a really utilitarian approach to pedals. So I've long since known that it's in me to just sit and mess with knobs for too long. So I've always tried to limit the gear that I have and limit the pedals that I have to basically just enable me to get the sounds that I want and nothing else, because I'm just going to go down a rabbit hole otherwise. So when it came down to when I kind of acquired this wizard knowledge of like, oh my God, I can build whatever I want, I just started looking at my pedal board and going, what kind of pedals do I want? And what kind of sounds do I want? And that, started leading me into, just developing pedals. And this was a pre-pandemic, and not to divert too much, but I had this one particular circuit that almost destroyed my soul. It was I think it was the MXR Blue Box, which is a really, really cool octave down fuzz pedal that frankly I think is super overlooked, and I think it's really awesome. I was building a couple of those, and I was selling a couple to friends and a couple local guitar shops here in Toronto, and I had like a 30% success rate, and I just couldn't figure out what was going on, and I just wasted like countless nights and hours trying to figure out what was going wrong with the circuit. And I basically just gave up and put it down for like 2 years almost. And, moved on with my life and didn't really do too much when it came to pedals. And 2 years later, I don't know why, but I just was bored one night and went back to that circuit and just decided like, I'm not going to let this defeat me. And, knowing what I then knew about, a little bit more about repairs and tape machines and this and that, I got to it and I fixed the circuit and I figured out what was wrong with it. And it was just like this eureka moment. And I went, okay, cool. I've got like, it's back on. I've got the spark again. And then from there, within like 2 months, I developed a couple of other circuits, based off of some popular mods and some other circuits that were out there. And it just kind of fell together after that. And it's only been about 2 years now since I kind of officially started doing super cool pedals as like a real thing. But I feel like I've been shot through the barrel of the gun. And it's been a pretty great ride. It's allowed me to meet some really cool people and build some really awesome pedals. And it's always a learning process, but that's about where I am now.
Nice. Now, when you started out building these pedals, was there something that you felt that you were more or less adept at? Were you like, oh man, like I love putting them together. I'm soldering really great. I don't understand how everything goes together, or did all of that just like really come together for you?
Yeah, no, it absolutely did not come together. I'm no electrical engineer. I was always bad at math in in high school. I tried. I come from a family line of like engineers, and I did not inherit that brain. So when it comes to like circuit design, I really have to learn by process, you know. So I consider myself more of a modder than anything. Okay. I really like looking at a circuit and tweaking it and figuring it out, and you know, just breaking it in order to understand it. But beyond that, I've always been a designer. So I was I've always been an art nerd, and I think building the pedals, figuring out how to put them together, how to design them in just that way that that has that aesthetic pop to it as well. I always found pedals are kind of boring to look at. So it's been a really cool opportunity to marry art and pedals in that way. So the circuit design is still something that I'm evolving, obviously, and learning as I go, but definitely the design and the art is something that I think people have caught on to and really enjoyed, and it's something that I really enjoy too, and I think that's probably where I can offer the pedal world a little bit more so, because at the end of the day, the circuits are circuits, and there's something different about putting a nice piece of art on your pedal board. Mm-hmm. And I think at the end of the day, when you open up that the box of that pedal, that's an experience in itself. So I'm trying to build something that people can be proud to put on their board.
Yeah. Now, what you just talked about was some, like it would be the description of some relatively simple pedals and circuits, which I know you have a couple of more simpler ones, but the one that really seemed to catch fire was this Thneed, the Thneed. There's a lot going on in the pedal. There's a lot going on in the marketing of it. I think let's spend some time with this. Rob, you just had it opened up, and what your impression when you opened that up, based on what he just said, I was like, I'm kind of a modder.
Does not look like that.
No, there's a lot going on in that pedal.
Yeah, it's a nice layout. Looks like it's really well done.
Yeah, and about 1 million components on the inside. Tell us about the engineering, and then we'll get into the surface level stuff and the marketing on all that business.
Yeah, sure. So from an engineering standpoint, like again, guitar pedals are pretty rudimentary circuits, unless you're Bill Finnegan and you made the Klon with a bunch of MIT tech people. I've never particularly loved the Klon circuit. I've never played one of the old unobtainium ones, but every sort of Klon derivative I've ever played, it sounds very similar and sounds very thin. And when I had a friend reach out to me and go, "Hey, would you ever build a Klon for me?" And my immediate response was just F no. Like, I wouldn't. I don't want to. Like, I don't want to build a Klon. Like, I don't feel like I have anything to offer in that space, because it's been done so well in so many different angles. But then it kind of planted a seed in me, a truffula seed, if you will. And I started looking at the circuit and thinking what I didn't like about it. Like, why didn't I like this sound? Why didn't I like the circuit? Why was it so over-engineered? And it came down to a couple of things. Like, it came down to the 18-volt charge pump. And charge pumps are... not to condescend anyone here, but just so everyone knows,
this is a learning place, man. Not everybody knows what a charge pump is.
Yeah, so basically, the guitar pedals take in 9 volts, and a charge pump will increase that voltage with either a Max 1044 chip or some other kind of what you call a charge pump IC chip, and it will increase that voltage to 18 volts. And there's a lot of weird mythology out there. Like, people think you can just plug in 18 volts to a pedal and it sounds better. Don't do that. You're going to blow up a pedal. But one of the unique things about the Klon is that it takes 9 volts, it turns it into 18 volts, and you get what's called increased headroom, which to me is just kind of nonsensical. It gives you more gain and it gives you more boost. And it's something that, like, I've never believed in. It's just not quantifiable to me. And I haven't... When I look at the circuit, I go, why is it doing 18 volts? Why is it doing a charge pump? And then it sums it back in the end. and it just doesn't. To me, I didn't like what it was doing in the circuit, so I figured out a way to engineer it around that charge pump and just run on a straight 9 volts. Because one of the other things is anytime I've ever having problem on a pedal board, if I'm getting weird feedback or weird noise or like a ground loop or something like that, it always traces back to some kind of pedal that has a charge pump on it, like a Klon or like a fuzz face that has like a voltage inverter or something like that. So to me, they're just pains in the butts. Like I don't like them. So
Okay.
I tried to design the Klon, like my version of the Klon, the Thneed, without the charge pump to begin with. But then it didn't really seem like enough because I believe that's been done before. So I just started messing around with the circuit and finding little areas that kind of increase the. To me, a Klon is thin. It's got a very specific like Nashville rock Telecaster sound to it, and that's just not my personal style. So I started tinkering around and trying to figure out ways to get higher gain out of it and like get more low end and get more bass and just kind of put the balls back into it. And I ended up with the Thneed. And I had so many different options and sounds that I couldn't really finalize and decide on in the end that I ended up putting, a plethora of dip switches on the inside so that the user can then, kind of select that and choose between, what I decided was the best out of the Thneed and then, something that might be more suited to their needs.
Yeah. Now, the things that you just described are not baked in. Those are options on this pedal, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So at the core, you have, essentially your version of a Klon, but with some bells and whistles that you can help to better customize your sound, depending on either what amp you're using, what guitar you're using, which I think is a pretty cool idea because everybody's got different gear, and the Klon does the one thing, right? So if you can say, in the spirit of that one thing, here's something that will make that one thing maybe work better for you on your particular rig.
Yeah, exactly. And I think what made the Klon such a popular pedal to begin with is like how dynamic it is. And I can't remember who said this. It might have been, I think it's Josh. I heard it from Josh Scott over at JHS talk about it one time, that the tone, like guitar tone, is in the fingers. And I absolutely believe that because there's so many. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter how many pedals you put on your board and how you try to alter the sound. It's your dynamics coming from the pickups at the end of the day. And that's one of the things that I guess I'm a cruddy guitarist because every time I plugged in a Klon, I was like, this Klon doesn't sound very good. And at the end of the day, it's like, well, it's probably because I just wasn't playing the Klon pedal very well. So that's why, yeah, I think that the Klon is a really great circuit, but the term professional overdrive that Bill kind of coined for that really makes a lot of sense to me because it's like, yeah, you're not just going to plug this pedal in and like it. You really want to dial in your sound and dial in your playing to that Klon. Yeah. So I wanted to provide a lot more options that allows for that exactly. A lot more finicky. I caught that one. That was good. Yeah. But yeah, so that's why I've got those different options. So there's high gain settings. My personal choice is like I like setting it at more high gain settings and getting that real like clunky drive sound out of it with more saturation. But most people that like the Klon don't like that. So that's why I've got, dips on the inside to adjust your clipping level and adjust the gain feedback loop and adjust 4 different sets of clipping diodes too. Because everyone rants and raves about Germanium diodes, and they can sound good, but like silicon ones sound great, LED diodes sound great, BAT 46s sound great, and I put them all in there. So I want people to open up the pedal and play around with it and find that sound the same way that they would, adjust their finger playing and finger style on their guitar to be able to find that tone because it's just as important at the end of the day.
Yeah. I like that approach. Rob, I think you found a couple of things that were very interesting in there.
Yeah. Well, the first thing I noticed was the option for droop bypass, which most
or buffered.
Yeah, most Klons Klon clones are just buffered, so no true bypass at all. So it's nice having that on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, just like the KTR, right? Like it's the same thing. So I said earlier, like a charge pump is the first thing that I investigate on a pedal when there's something wrong on a pedal board, and usually buffers are the second one. So I'm not necessarily a true believer in buffers, which is again a little bit hypocritical. It entirely depends on your board, but yeah, I, that's a nice thing. So buffered or true bypass, I think, are nice settings to have, just to help a guitarist from himself sometimes to get a little bit of that tone suck back that they're losing.
Where do you sit on the buffered versus true bypass
Yep.
thing, Rob?
Depends on what you're using it for. That's I mean, when I was I don't want to say growing up, but when I really started playing professionally in my 20s, it was right during the period where everything had to be true bypass. Mm-hmm. So, and and it was just that people were assuming the buffer in a $50 MXR pedal was going to be great or something. Of course, it'd be better true bypass, but so bypass or a buffered pedal's got a bad name back then. But yeah, it just depends. I mean, I've heard some buffers that people sell that are supposed to fix impedance issues, everything. I plug into them and they have a horrible EQ curve, and it's like, well, that's great. So much for using that as a buffer on a pedal board. So it just depends.
Yeah.
Just like everything else.
Yeah.
No good, no bad, just different.
Just different. Just more to sculpt.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Now, this is almost everything is surface mount on this too, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
There are a lot of little bitty things in there.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm still pretty daunted by surface mount. I was doing through hole for almost all my pedal designs have always started as through hole and have slowly evolved into surface mount just from a scaling up perspective. But the Thneed was actually the first pedal that I did that started out as surface mount. I never did through hole versions of that because I don't like the size of a Klon. It's like I said earlier, like I love my big muff, but it's dumb and big for no freaking reason. And the same thing with most Klons that I've seen out there. So I wanted to put the size down into a 1590B enclosure. So surface mount was kind of the only way to go with that. And I love and hate surface mount because frankly, I think the noise floor is a lot quieter. I think you can get like the tolerance from a builder perspective. I don't have to second guess the tolerance of a surface mount piece. It's going to sound the way it is. Like I very rarely ever have to troubleshoot a surface mount piece versus some through hole stuff. But it enables you to build a lot smaller and a lot tighter, which when you're engineering a circuit gets, it's like falling down a labyrinth. So I have to admit, when I first plugged in the first prototype of the Thneed and surface mount and got it working, I was just like, I was pretty impressed because it's pretty congested, but overall I do think compared to like a lot of other Klons out there, it ends up being quieter because of how compacted. The traces are a lot shorter, and the tolerance is a lot better on those surface mount pieces too.
So were you prototyping surface mount, like literally soldering them, putting them together yourself to prototype?
Yeah. One of the only regrets that I have in this whole pedal thing is that I don't have any mentors other than watching YouTube videos of Josh Scott and JHS and other builders. So I've really just
right next door to you.
Dude, I know, I have to I've connected virtually with a lot of these builders, but I want to go and be like, hey, can I come and see your shop and how do you do this? Because I've invented the wrong way to do things, I'm quite sure. So I was prototyping surface mount PCBs, and part of it's nice because when you assemble a through hole pedal and you're trying to troubleshoot it, you kind of have to disassemble the whole pedal to take out a through hole piece. But with surface mount, you just have to have delicate hands and just cool, I'll just unsolder this piece and put it back on. But it's super easy to just start burning pads and burning off pieces.
Yeah, boy.
So yeah, I've gotten to the point recently where it's only been recently that I've been getting prefabricated PCBs made for me. So I've been slowly shifting over to that. As much as I really loved the zen of doing like through hole and manual population on boards, I just, in order to meet some of the demand that's out there, I've gone to prefab. And frankly, I've been really impressed. I think that the sound quality's just as good. It takes a whole lot less time for me to assemble a pedal now too.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, once you do like pedal number 29, it's the romance is gone. It's like, okay, I've done this. I know I can do this. Let somebody else do it.
About 6 months ago, this started feeling like a job, and I went, I was like, okay, this is fun, but like, I'm moving away from through hole and manual population. It's just, there's no way.
And you're fulfilling everything yourself, right?
Yeah, it's just me. It's just me. I mean, my output's not huge.
Still,
but
well,
I
it
try
was
and
after this thing hit the JHS thing.
It's been good, and I enjoy doing every part of it. Right. So I mean, I moved into, part of the reason I moved into this new space here. I moved from Toronto to Peterborough, Ontario. I bought a house here, which is super awesome, but there's a separate building in the back that was built during the war effort that was used as a machine shop. And when I was looking at houses and I saw this building, I went, that's super cool headquarters right there. So I'm in the process right now of, it's probably going to be next summer, but I would love to, hire some builders and start building a space and outputting a little bit more. Because it sucks. Like if you go to my website, like you'll see pre-orders up and down all the time. Like I'm constantly just shifting between having units in stock. I'll build 12 Thneeds. I'll build 12 77 fuzz blenders, and then in a matter of 2 days I'll be sold out and just go crap, and have to just go back on pre-orders, which is really humbling and cool, but at the same time, like I don't like making people wait for their pedals too. So hopefully I can scale up and start meeting demand, and prefabrication of the boards was like one of the biggest and best things I could have done in that regard.
Yeah. Well, a big thing about this pedal, aside from the fact that it actually sounds great. I mean, when I plugged it straight into Marshall and I hit it, I'm like, that's gonna stay on my board because that sounds awesome. Like, I didn't futz with it too much at all. I was really impressed with it. But I'm do the creative bits too in my daily job as a creative director. So I was in fact, I actually brought the pedal in to my team, as I often do. They are learning quite a bit about pedals and stuff because I'm like, hey, look at this. There's a story behind it. There's a great aesthetic behind it. There's design thinking. And so I brought this in, and they really liked it. This has quite a lot to it, and there's a great story behind it. Would you care to share that?
Yeah. So I landed on sort of a narrative with super cool pedals a few years ago, and it kind of landed because of, I don't know, I want to say overcompensation, because as I felt like my earliest pedals that I was building, I was like, well, they're basically mods of popular circuits that are out there. And I wanted to make something a little bit more original, and coming from an art and a design background, I figured it was a good opportunity to differentiate from some of the other pedals in the market. So I call them my Vice series pedals. So every super cool pedal is kind of based on, an element of my life that was really important to me. And the earliest ones were, drugs and booze and cigarettes and this and that, which, are all vices. But then I actually started getting not a little bit of criticism for being, that guy and
promoting the vices.
Yeah. And I'm certainly not trying to glamorize, Camel cigarettes or Old English 40s or anything like that. Because to me, these were like
the days.
Exactly. I wanted to, with the Thneed takes a lot of iconography and imagery from, well, if not the iconography and imagery from Dr. Seuss's The Lorax.
Yeah.
Because Dr. Seuss was a huge influence on me, from when I was a child, and not just for the funny picture book stories, but just as an artist. Theodore Geisel was just so original, and really just I always identified with this sort of cartoony look that he had, and he did really serious art. And if anyone listening here is, if your only experience with Dr. Seuss is the Lorax or the cat came back or something like that, go look at some of his art, and it's absolutely stunning. So
as a dad, I've literally read every single one. In fact, I even have the deep, big, giant, thick coffee table one that has all the war
All of
stuff
them. Yeah,
that was never published.
Yeah. He was a fascinating human, and he really put his heart into the work. And it's something that I really identified with. So Dr. Seuss was always a vice of mine. So I wanted to kind of honor that with a pedal. When I was thinking first, designing the Thneed and working through all the Klon, the circuit, and thinking about what the heck do I call this pedal? Because it's all the clones have clever mythology names to them, right? The centaur, the dragon, whatever it is. And I figured, the working title of that pedal is actually the Lorax, because I thought it was perfect. It's a mythological creature. But I thought it was just a little too on the nose, and frankly, I thought it might get me in a little bit more trouble. So I opted for the Thneed because, again, the Thneed is just I've always loved the concept of the Thneed and the story within the Lorax about everyone needs a Thneed, right?
Yeah.
Everyone needs a Klon. It's just it kind of fell together, and I tried to honor that, and hopefully I don't get myself into too much hot water when it comes to the copyright infringement and this
Tony
and that. But
mentioned that. He was like, I wonder if he's gotten any letters yet.
Well,
I haven't
he's in
yet, but
Canada. It doesn't count.
frankly,
That's what
it's
they do. They're like, yeah, it's from Canada. Nobody's going to
it's
see
kind of
it.
my goal at this point. I'm waiting. I'm literally just waiting, and I've got backup plans for that. But as to wax prophetic a little bit, I think it's fair use to me, and I'm certainly all of my pedals are based around imagery that I really hold close and dear for whatever reason. But I'm certainly not trying to profit off of a gimmick or anything like that. To me, I'm just trying to honor some images, and I've had an overwhelming amount of customers and guitarists reach out to me, just be like, dude, I love this pedal because my dad smoked Camel cigarettes back in the day, or I read this, I read the Lorax to my kid every night, and it speaks to people. And I think that's where I'm really, really humbled and happy to where I fit into kind of the pedal world right now is I like to think of pedals as objet d'art and as more than just getting a sound out of it. It's something, there is validity behind coveting these things. Absolutely. Whether it's, historical or whether it just hits a feeling within you and you like looking at that and it makes you, remember, something from the past or what it is. And, art has always been a really big part of my life, and that's kind of where I feel like I'm helping to kind of contribute to the zeitgeist of the pedal world.
Me and you just need to go sit at some outdoor coffee shop for an entire day and talk, because you're hitting so many things that we've talked about through the show that ring true for me, starting with Queen's Stone Age, the art, being a creative, the Lorax, the finding muse in the presentation of everything. I really like where you're coming from, because I feel akin to it.
I appreciate it, man. Totally.
So now you've got this revolutionary, dare I say, approach to the Klon. You also have something that everybody's like, Dr. Seuss, what's not to like about Dr. Seuss? And then there's this other little thing which happened, earlier on this year, where I believe it was this year. It wasn't last year, right? The big fires up there in Canada.
That was just this.
That was this year.
Yeah.
This year.
Yeah, it was this year.
So
it's hard.
Tell us
it's
about
hard
the
to keep track
connection
of.
there.
Yeah, so obviously the core element of the Lorax has always been an environmental message, and it's something that in the past few years it's been unignorable. Klon climate change or climate science, whatever you want to call it, it's affecting the whole world. It's Australia's been burning down, and we had these horrific wildfires in both the west and the eastern part of Canada that just tore through, and it kind of, I don't want to say it lined up because I'm certainly not trying to profiteer from any of it, but just kind of that message echoed through when I started building and designing the Thneed. So I started incorporating an optional donation. If you buy a Thneed through Super Cool Pedals, the website, there's an optional donation, and those donations goes towards planting and regrowing trees in Canada that were lost due to those wildfires. Because I mean, I've always been a bit of a hippie when it comes to this, but I think the time of the hippie's gone. I think it's something that should be really important to every single one of us, and I try and keep it, kind of centered because, as building, there's a difference between just building a product and making money off it and trying to kind of evoke a lesson from it, and that's something that I hope that the Thneed kind of sparks in people. To just kind of look around and see what's going on in the world, and hopefully we can, hopefully I can make a tiny positive impact with the Thneed.
So that charity, can you relay that right now?
So the charity itself is called Tree Canada, which helps to grow and sustain growth of forests in Canada, whether it's from the loss of trees due to forest fires, or whether it's new growth. And it's super important. If you don't want to buy a Thneed, they're definitely a charity that's worth supporting one way or another.
Got it. And that's treescanada.ca.
Yeah, that's the one.
All right. A worthy receiver of funds right now, for sure. That's a lot to pack into a single pedal. I mean, that's...
Yeah, sorry, that was heavy. I feel like that was a heavy roundabout at the end.
Well,
of it.
I mean, the funny thing is that, I don't know that kids necessarily are aware of those messages when they're being told. That's kind of the beauty of it, is that it's so not overt, but somehow you retain that. But as parents, man, it like really hits you, like when and you start reading all these stories again, and you're just like, oh my gosh, this guy have you read the Lorax recently? It sounds condescending, but like, it's funny. Like, I've read it over and over again since I started working on the Thneed, just kind of as like a little mantra. And it's just wild. It's just wild how important it is to just kind of keep that stuff in the back of our mind, and just not even just from an environmental standpoint, but just like the responsibility we have as creators, as humans, right? Yeah, I mean, he tackled racism. He tackled political, bullying, and I mean, it was pretty remarkable. So there you go. Are you going to continue the line of this Seuss type stuff, or is this a one and done?
He does have the Buffula.
Yeah. So funny enough, I guess this is a good of a time as any. I've never officially released it, but the Buffula is a new pedal that I just dropped like a week ago, kind of in secret. I've had it ready for a while, but essentially it's just the buffer section of the Klon. Because as I sort of mentioned earlier, like I try not to subscribe to too much pedal mythology. I try and wade through it and make sense of what it is, and to each his own. But one thing that I really loved about building the Thneed is just the buffer. I just realized how important that was to my board, and how it just maintained the clarity. So I just wanted to build a little companion pedal to that. I selfishly built it so that I could have my Thneed at the beginning of my chain as a buffer, and then the Buffula is just a self-contained, no knob, no button, just Klon buffer, so that I could put it at the end. So there's that little guy, and it's just a little truffula tree. It's a little simple mini version of the Thneed. So I've got that for sale as well. And I've tried to price it as affordably as possible, because my short pitch, I've worked in sales for, the better part of a decade, and my short pitch on the Buffula is, do you have a buffer? If the answer is no, just buy this and just put it on your board. That's it. It's nothing to overthink, but you'd be surprised at how much a buffer at the end of your chain can just make a difference, whether you think it matters or not.
Tell us about that difference real quick, because there's a lot of people that don't do that, and maybe don't know about it.
Yeah, and again, erring on the side of trying not to buy into my own mythology about it. It's a buffer will really help treble roll off. Like, you'd be really surprised at how quickly true bypass pedals will start sucking away your treble and low end, and just your signal will just slowly get quieter and degrade. And the first thing that happens when your signal gets quieter is that treble loss. So essentially, it maintains the strength. So by putting a buffer in the end of your chain, it helps to sort of improve the impedance beforehand and afterwards, to kind of pull through. And think of it as water. It's kind of like putting more pressure on the water that's before it, so that you're maintaining that signal strength.
It's like a big guy in the water slide coming in behind you.
Yeah, exactly. It's important to kind of keep that signal nice and strong, and that's what a buffer can do. So
yeah, and it's especially useful for long cable runs. That really helps preserve the high end. Now, the only comment I had on that is, and this is just from a setup that I used to use that had a dual output, so I could split between 2 amps. Right. Is there an option to do basically a dual buffer version?
So the one that I've done is a mono. I've basically build pedals based on what I want on my board. Mm-hmm. So it started as a cheap hobby, and now it's a very expensive business instead. So that particular instance hasn't popped up for me. But I've looked into it. You might see that come out in 2024, because I do think that it'd be a pretty good option to have. But no, the Buffalo is just a mono. It's just dead simple, dirt cheap piece for the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, at that price point, yeah. But I just thought that would be kind of a cool option to have, because more and more people are playing with multiple amps now. Even our friend Todd here was in the recording room.
Yeah,
likes to split off between a couple of different amps.
So. What are you pairing right now?
Well, in the last EP that we put together, I ran my Marshall Origin 50, and also a maxed out Fender Bassmaster.
Ooh, so you got you got your mid range coming through that Marshall, I guess, and then the nice scoop sound out of your Fender.
It was, I think the thing that we got out of the Fender was that sound of pure amp, just goosing. And not necessarily compression that's coming from pedals and stuff like that. And as far as the EQ, I mean, I don't know that there was a ton of difference in EQ, to be honest. But I was also, that when I was hearing it, is going through a whole bunch of stuff that John had up going through the board. So
sure.
Anyways, and then on the next one, I've got this fun little film sound amp from Hello Sailor that we just have been talking about.
Hello, Sailor.
Hello, Sailor. Hello. Hey, Joe, wherever you are out there in the world sailing around. And that is in line with, the explosion of the tiny little throwaway amps that Josh Homme was using. This is
the PV.
You goose this thing and it sounds fantastic. I mean, I really like the sound of this. So pairing that with the with my Origin 50, I think is going to be a real cool thing to do.
That's sick. Well, at the risk of self promoting too much, I would love to send you one of the 77 fuzz blenders. Seeing as we've kind of connected on the Queens of the Stone Age thing, because that pedal I basically designed to.
I literally had that up just looking at it right now. So.
Yeah, so it is basically, not to go on too much of a tangent, but the Big Muff is an awesome pedal that sucks when you try and play it with a band.
Yes.
And I always found that. It's like, I fell in love with the Big Muff in a guitar shop, And it was like, cool, I'm getting that Jack White sound. When it's just guitars and drums, it sounds great. But as soon as you try and play it in a band, like you just get lost. There's no mid-range. And it took me years to figure out that that's what's happening. So, and that Queens of this, like the definitive guitar tone to me is that Josh Homme Songs for the Deaf, mid-range heavy sound that I still to this day, I think it's more about miking in that room than it was about that little 50 watt or whatever it was, like PV amp. But I started modifying the op amp Big Muff circuit into basically just trying to get as mid heavy as possible with a different type of tone stack.
Yeah.
And I just kind of stumbled on it and I went, no, this is the sound. Like, this is the sound that I've been looking for like decades. And I could never find it in just one pedal. I could always find it in sort of complex chains. But I'm going to send you one of those 77 fuzz blenders because I think you'll find it. The mid boost mode on it is like just Josh Homme in a box. And I'm really proud of that one. I'll send you one.
That's dope, man. I appreciate that. That sounds really cool. And it, ladies and gentlemen, the nice thing is there is a great range of pedals that you can get into that are all really kind of around the more of the drive sections of things. And I appreciate that you've said, hey, here's something that we like, but here's just a tweak on it to make it, just that much more different or even more usable, to your point, because I can't use muff. I'm just
not
to your
without
point,
modding
it just gets lost.
Yeah.
And I'm a single guitar player, so I need I am married. Yeah, Tony's like, you're married. But I can't just sit back and let it just be this big warm wash of stuff because there's no definition. I already got a bass player. He's doing that, so I'm very interested to see what that could do. That's super cool. No,
Yes,
it's super cool.
But
Yeah, and back in the day, I had a pocket full of those. Just saying. So anyhow, well, this has been super fun times, huh?
Super fun.
Gentlemen.
Yeah. Super cool times.
Super cool times.
It's not as effective the second time.
I dig it. I dig it. We're very interested to know what comes out next beyond this. Obviously, you've had a very big year with the Thneed, and then also, I'm sure everybody going, wait, what are all these other pedals?
Yeah.
So please keep us posted on things that are you're developing and that you want to get out in front of everybody. Okay.
Yeah, I'd love to. Now that I've got the move over, I've got a bunch of prototypes that I'm looking at, and there's going to be something coming out before 2024 that I'm really excited about. And I'll tell you what, I'll keep you guys in the loop. I'll send you something as soon as I can, and we'll I'd love to talk about it more.
Brilliant. And if you need help moving anything more, Jared is really good about that, so he'll drive up and give you a hand. Speaking of Jared, we got a few things. We need to do a super fun thing here.
Yeah, that's right. This time of the show, I can't spit it out.
Doing calisthenics?
Sounds really stressed out.
Exhausted.
A lot of shots of Knob Creek smoked maple whiskey. It's really good. Anyway,
he may be in an inversion chair.
He was stuck in sun salutation for too long, I think.
Reporting from the floor over here.
Yeah, right. Ladies and gentlemen, let's come to the part of the show where we like to play a little game called Would You Rather?
Nice. Sorry, what was that? One more time.
You walking? So you're walking down the street. All of us are, and a big van snatches us up. They take us to Luthery school for about 4 years, and we all learn how to build guitars. You stumble across an opportunity to build a guitar for one of two artists. You could either do Noel Gallagher or build a guitar for David Gilmour. But, you can use any finish you want. You can add in sparkle. You can use whatever hardware you'd like, any tuners you'd like. However, the styles you only have one style per artist that you have to, so you got to choose the artist per style of guitar. So like if you're going to build a guitar for Noel, it would have to be the upside down V. Or if you wanted to build a guitar for David Gilmour, it would have to be that crazy bottom half would be the V and the top half would be Telly style body. So would you rather build the upside down V for Noel Gallagher or the Telly, half V for David Gilmour?
Isn't an upside down a V still a V
No,
if it's sideways?
no, it's upside down. Is the horns point up
180.
towards the neck?
Oh,
It
They
was-
both look utterly ridiculous.
yeah, it was the
I thought you just meant
Flipped.
like a V sideways and turning it.
No,
upside down.
no. It was. I
Not,
think
not horizontally.
it was a limited edition run that Gibson did.
Yeah.
I think it was called an inverted V or something
Yeah,
like that. but
awful.
yeah, it was,
Yes. Yeah.
The awful.
Yeah.
That's the point. So I mean, you have to choose the.
So what's the difference between so then the one you got to build for David is just a V, but it's got a tiny little
No,
silly,
it's got a telly. It's a combination of a telly and then a telly with
it's
like
a telly with a V body.
yes.
Is it still an inverted V or is it just
It's
a
a
regular?
No,
regular
it's
V?
It's a regular V,
but
but
it just looks utterly ridiculous.
it has a telly lower horn and upper horn too. So the area near the neck looks like a telly, but then it trails off to a V shaped. Yeah, they're both
Okay, but
horrible.
Yes, it is.
That
Both
can't
horrible.
be real.
But like
No,
pickups
they're-
wise, you can do whatever you
They're both
want
real.
here or what?
You have to do either or body style for either artist. So you have to choose which body style, or you have to choose which artist you're going to build for. But it has to be the ridiculous body style.
Okay. I think if it's for Gilmour, it's the Telly V. If it's the Noel Gallagher, it's the upside down V.
Correct.
And then you can make it whatever color and do all the stuff you want.
Yeah, anything you want beyond that, it just has to
Okay.
be a
Now,
ridiculous.
if when you present this to those either artists, do they have to play it?
Yes, they have to like it.
They have to like it.
Well, that's
I think that
that's
ship
debatable.
sailed.
Right.
Yes.
Well,
So I
it's
have-
like,
Do you have
which
to
artist
be in
do I
the
want to
room?
ban? Like, which artist am I willing to get a restraining order from? Basically,
Pretty much.
Yes. Okay, I think we got the picture. Let's go. So let's start off with the lovely and bedraggled Tanya Bolonsky.
my man.
I just have a severe aversion to the inverted V. I mean, that's
It's really
As-
the worst guitar. I
as
can think
many
of.
good things as Gibson has done over the years. That one set him back about 20.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I didn't expect to get that kind
I
of
don't know
blowback.
that I don't know that you can make Noel like that particular guitar, no matter what you did to it. Other than paint it
Okay.
with a.
So what color are you doing for Gilmour?
So I'm gonna do. This is kind of fun. I'm gonna do a Sid Barrett with the mirrors.
okay, that's cool.
That I think that David might have absconded with when Sid whacked out.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to do. It's going to be a Pink Floydy Sid Barrett tribute
Yes.
Telly V.
Okay, I can dig that. Rob, how about yourself?
All right. I'm gonna build the backwards V thing for Noel
Okay.
because I don't want to insult Mr. Gilmour, and quite frankly, Noel, it's like, well, he's gonna be pissed off at something anyway, so
Yes.
you know, whatever. And the finish,
Tell him it was a gift from Liam.
there you go. And the finish, I figure as long as we're pissing him off, let's do something that he definitely won't like. So let's do like hot rod flames on it.
Or an
Okay.
American.
Just make it absolutely
An
as it
American
is.
flag.
Yes.
Oh, that would be even better. Good call.
Terrible. Terrible. Okay, I think we might have stole some of John's thunder there,
Oh,
but go
sorry,
ahead, John.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, that was pretty much what I was going to say is do the Knoll with the American flag just to piss him off. So appreciate that, guys.
Yeah, nice.
Sneaking in.
That was a really good idea, John.
It was. Maybe we could like clap it and cut me so that I'm for. Hey guys, you know what'd be great is if we did Noel Gallagher with an American flag. Now just put that before Tony
already
and
ruined.
Rob
Yeah.
let it out of the bag.
Maybe you could do it with an Italian flag or a Japanese flag.
What are you going to do?
A Scottish flag? Is there another like? Would one of the other UK principalities piss him off even
what
more?
would make him
like an
like-
Irish flag or
No,
something?
the thing that would
No,
that
they're
would get
actually
him-
Irish heritage.
Oh well.
he would really like the powder blue Manchester. Is it Manchester City that he likes?
Yeah, Man
Yeah,
City.
because-
Man City.
Yeah.
Those colors. Then
No.
he might actually play it.
He might, but if you if you did Manchester United,
Oh,
that would
now
be the
that would
royal
be-
kiss of death.
that would be worse than the American flag.
Yeah. Yeah,
Aren't they like red and gold?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Then we'll do that.
That's even
We'll do
better.
that.
Good choice.
Yeah.
I'm glad we talked through
And just
this.
purely for the comedic effect of watching Noel Gallagher melt down.
Yeah. Okay. Jared, how about yourself?
Yeah, definitely not going to mess with our guy David Gilmour. I appreciate Noel and his band that he was in, and great group and everything. But Pink Floyd, I wouldn't mess with them. So yeah, definitely do the upside down V for Noel, and I think I would have
Can
our
I
guy
guess?
I would have Champion Lecky draw a bunch of like the underwear and all of his awesome work.
See, I was gonna guess
I love his stuff, man.
sparkle purple, but guess
Right.
not.
That would look too good. So yeah, but I guess we could do sparkle purple with the
Underwear all over it?
Underwear over the sparkle purple.
That'll be really ugly.
I like.
I gotta have our guy painting that stuff on there.
I feel like
He's great. I love him.
Wooly has actually released pedals that are sparkle purple with the underwear all over it.
Yeah,
you could
he's
probably
likely.
very easily find a matching pedal to go with that.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see here. Jamie, how about yourself?
Shout out to Wooly. Yeah.
Well, to me, it comes down less to the guitars and more so who I would rather get beaten up by. Because I think, frankly, giving off either of those options to them will just be triggering to them. So that being said, I think Noel Gallagher, I don't think he could. I'm pretty sure I could take him down. I don't think he could throw a punch. I think he's all dark. And I think David
He's Irish.
Gilmour could probably take you down with like just lasers in his eyes. If I do not want to be on the room with that man presenting him that atrocity of a guitar. So I think I'd probably do the inverted V, and I'd build it to Noel Gallagher, and I'd build it out of the like heaviest tropical wood possible, just to
Fill it with
further
lead.
tick him off. Those guitars are already not light as they is, so I think
Brick.
I'd give them to them. And just to top it off, I think I'd give it no pickups, just like a really low impedance piezo. And
Wow.
give it like a soaked tea finish of some kind. Like
Where
it's
did
an
the love
Earl
go
Grey.
for our guy, man?
Yeah.
Oh, I love him, but I
Yeah.
I kind of feel like at this point I'm just fantasizing about like just ticking him off and
That's
just
good.
Yeah.
just kind of pulling the string on the wind up toy of the
ain't so
Gallaghers
pickup.
and just watching him prattle on.
That's
Well,
awesome.
How about you, Todd Lee?
Yeah, what are you doing, good boy?
I'm going to do the inverted V, the upside down V, and it will be a small, like a wallpaper style, repeated pattern of Liam's face
Oh, shit.
with
I was thinking
with,
about saying that.
with ESP pickups.
Oh,
3 of them.
Nice.
3 of them.
Maybe go for 4.
4 of them.
And
Yes.
a piezo.
Yes. And on the backside, maybe I would just put
repeating hot dogs.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, that's calling out to me. Just flying hot dogs.
And can I assume this is going to be
Sure.
a 3/4 scale guitar?
No, it'll be
be a
full size. I'm not going to
baritone.
compare
It'll be
Baritone
double
neck.
size.
and like
Gotta be fair.
honestly, it's like one of those things. Like I think the idea of having him just be so completely blustered and berating you. You don't want him to go like, "Hey, how you doing? Hope you have a nice day." You want him to say, "What the," and just blurt out, just to barrage you with a bunch of stuff, and just hammer you with this. That feels like that would be fantastic. I like that. That's a good one, Jared.
Thank you.
Not too shabby. All right, we have a few people to thank, and then we're going to say goodbye to our good friend Jamie.
That's right, Todd, because at this point of the show, there's a special group of people that we love to thank. These are our executive producers. Now, an executive producer makes this show possible. How do you become one? You head over to patreon.com.
That's right.
/The Guitar Knobs and check out a couple different levels in which you can participate and become a sponsor, a patron, a hero, an all-around nice person
Yes.
of the podcast.
That's yeah.
Each level comes with some very, very nice thank you gifts and opportunities to win special giveaways. So I'm told.
Yes.
In addition, as an executive producer, there's one thing more in addition to all of the good stuff.
That's right.
Jared, what would that be?
Well, you get to have your name read on the thing.
Your name read on the thing. That's what I'm going to do right now. So
Okay.
special thanks to these executive producers. Vader and Pedals, John Halverson, Rick Calhoun, Trevor Gunberg, Elad Mizrahi, Mike D, Richard Kendall, James White, Mutander Guitars, Anthony Gemalero, Bill Gola Guitars, John Esterly, a.k.a. Rare Bzzz Effects,
Yeah.
Anthony Lathrop, Stefan Lamb, Michael Senchuk, Ken Sayers, Doug Christ, Darren Gregory, Tom Barazin, Rusty Sneeden, Ralph Gottschalk, Don Kloss, Gregory Randall, Brett Hogarth, Eric Hemmer, Stuart George, Michael Furman, James Bell, James Romer, Cameron Pampas, David Tyndall, Trevor Ellenberg, and Christopher Logan.
Yes, indeed.
But
Thank you so
Todd,
much. Yes,
Todd,
yes.
there's another very, very special group of people.
Is there more?
There's more. These are our grand poobahs.
Yes.
Now, the poobahs, of course, the grandest of poobahs, get a fez to wear upon their head whilst listening to the podcast.
And at the same time.
That is correct. So special thanks to these grand poobahs. Tommy Manasco, Ricardo Iguereda, David Kaminga, Brandon Wham Pickups,
That's right.
Hex Matos, Michio Murakishi, Bob Crouch, Jack Cadian, Sam Jett, Tyler Rhines, LSJ Music Company, John Williams, James Pennington, Steve Keys, Cody Foster, Science of Sound, Brian Robison, Jonathan Jerusik, Corey Nigro, Michael Van Zant, Tim Nowak, Jonathan Daly, Martin Cliff, Sean S. David Poe, Billy Spitfire, Unlimited, Congregation Gear Demos, Paul Von Eppinger, Scott Sullivan, Great Lakes Guitar Pickups, Matt Hart, Enrico Fernando, and Moon Guitar.
That is correct. Thank you, one and all. You truly keep the wheels spinning on this show, and we couldn't do it without you. Thank you so much.
That is correct.
Ladies and gentlemen, we need to do a great big thank you to Jamie of Super Cool Pedals for being on our show tonight. Ladies and gentlemen,
Thank you, everyone. It's been a blast.
You are welcome back anytime, and we hope to hear from you as things are rolling along for you. Jamie, where can people go to get these super cool pedals?
Yeah, so you can go to, thanks again for having me on. You can go to supercoolpedals.com or .ca if you're a Canuck like me, or Instagram at supercoolpedals, or TikTok like the youngins like to do. I like to put some silly stuff up there as well.
Awesome. Tony?
Yes, Todd, you can head over to pickguardian.com and check out some of the things that I do. What I do custom work. I'm
That's
doing
right.
a special job for Todd.
That we'll be talking about next week.
We're going to talk about it in depth, in detail.
Yes.
Pickguardian.com. Shoot me an email. Let me know what you need, what you're trying to do, and I will take good care of you.
Perfect. Rob?
Mad Cow Amplification, Instagram, Facebook. I won't say the other.
Yep. And what can people do there? Why would they go there?
They'll go see what I'm doing. I'm fixing other people's mistakes a lot, which is awesome.
You're very tolerant of that too.
And prepare.
The great thing, and people think I hate that other people are working on the amps. No, it's keeping me in business. It's fantastic. Please take it to your buddy that has a soldering iron.
Yeah.
And then bring it to me.
And contrary to popular belief, it is not an animal husbandry site. Is that correct?
No, it's not.
Yes.
No.
Okay. Just
One
checking.
thing that I thought we could do, by the way, I just had this great idea just now, earlier today. I think we should put one of those tallies, like as we start the year. You know how like a lot of jobs will have like how many days of work has it been since somebody got hurt, and we can make how many Fender hot rods you've worked on thus far this next year.
Year?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're doing it. That's happening.
I only post like one out of every 20 that cross the bench.
That's what I'm
so-
saying.
Okay.
Okay, John.
So you can find us at rarebuzzer, BUZZER.com, at rarebuzzer everywhere on social media. We've got a slew of new designs coming out next year, so kind of keep an eye on that. I know it's been quiet here lately, but lots of stuff in the works, so keep an eye out.
Go ahead, Jared.
And you can find me on Instagram, jared.brandon. Nope, that's not it. jared.allen.brandon. Send me a message. And hey, love to chat with you about whatever you want.
Sounds good. You can send me an email, todd@theguitarknobs.com. You can DM me at guitarknobs on Instagram. We'd love to hear from you. If you really hated that, would you rather? Then do better. Send us one. How
The
about
challenge.
That? How about why don't you do
Guitar
that?
Knobs Challenge.
Also, I would say if you're a builder, if you're trying to get your brand out, if you're trying to go like, hey, I wish some people could see this. As we send out patron packages and rewards, I would love to put your swag in the packages that we send out. So contact me. I'm more than happy to do that for you. Okay. And also go and listen to the Valentinos on Spotify, my band. We would love to get your numbers. And it's cool to drive to.
What about if I have a stomper?
If you have an HX Stomp and you're afraid of those teeny tiny knobs about stepping on them and ruining it,
Don't be afraid.
don't be afraid. Protect your knobs. Go get a stomper. Go to flinteffects.com. I think that's all the shilling I can do right now. Honestly, we love you guys out there, and we're so thankful that you're listening and sharing our little guitar universe with us. Big, giant thanks to Jamie one more time. And have a fantastic Guitar Week and subscribe.
Yes.
Thanks, everyone.
Check.
Test.
Check.
Test.
Jack, Dad.
Test.
He doesn't say check. Tony,
Jared
how long have you
Brandon.
been doing
Jared
the show?
Brandon. Jared Brandon.
Why are you so mean to me, Todd?
You guys suck. There you go.
I like
Yeah.
that segue.
Why do you
See
give
what
so
did
much
there.
information on Jared, but nothing about the rest of us?
Well, because I was waiting for you guys to do it,
Okay.
but you didn't.
I didn't.
No.
No one
Tony,
likes
what
to
do you
talk
do?
about themselves. That's why we're all here.
Nothing, apparently.
Okay.
Hey, Jared, if you have any potato
better.
chips, Todd would appreciate you eating those right about now.
Yeah, eat the potato
Right.
chips before the podcast. Or
We need
during.
some good ASMR to lead us in.
Yes.
Right. Or gummy bears. Slosh some gummy bears in the mouth.
It almost looks like a tornado lamp, like like
Hurricane lamp.
Hurricane. I was close. A
Different storm.
hurricane lamp. Like the.
It was like a tsunami lamp.
All
It's
right.
really, really, really good.
Jamie, what'd you have for breakfast this morning?
Jesus.
2 macadamia nut cookies.
Ooh, my.
Yeah, those are
Well
good.
done, sir.
Play guess
I was
the food.
told not to bring snacks. It has been made crystal clear there are no snacks on the podcast. We
Yes.
even made T-shirts.
I do remember the T-shirt.
Got
Use
hotter.
your
Yeah.
words.
That was his word for that.
Whiskey.
Fire bad.
Got a lot of people on the podcast, old chum.
Woo!
That's
Thanks,
it.
boys. That was awesome.
Yeah, it's always it's something every time. Point in time, you got to use a John. You need to get something to drink. You got to let the dog out, whatever.
Can we
Just
talk
go ahead
about
and let
that
us know.
phrase? Can we not use that phrase?
What? Let the dogs out?
No.
It says
using
use
the
John
John.
because John has
It's
an
a-
aversion to being called a toilet.
It's offensive to Johns.
Bottled sparkling water.
That's right.
You know, oh, we got soda water on tap. No, that's not the same thing at all. Okay, let's get going, guys. We got a lot to
Let's
discuss.
do it. I've been waiting.
I
Come
know.
on.
I've been waiting.
For a girl like you.
Waiting for a.
How would you like it if it was using the Todd?
Yeah, that would suck. yeah.
That's
Yeah, but it would
unfortunate.
have all bottled water to use. To flush
Yes,
the toilet.
only flushes with bottled water. What? That's going to the Todd.
Guilty is charged in a restaurant. Somebody look that up. Tony, you look it up.
No, I'm not your boy this day.
I swear I came here for a podcast.
Or anytime.
Let's do this thing.
And away we go.
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/theguitarknobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.